Hello, everyone. How are you doing? My name is John Crump, and I happen to report on stuff that is going on in the community. And we do have something to report on here. I see Texas Tactical Reviews out there, and I see Mitten State Media, and other people will probably be joining soon. There's Sam Falcon. So let's go ahead and talk about what is going on. All right. So there's a case called the United States versus Peterson. Peterson was busted for having a suppressor without a tax stamp. Um, so the government decided to throw the book at him. So what happened was it went all the way up to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals to a three-judge panel. Uh, the guys that he was in front of was Wiener, Ho, and Ramirez. They're all circuit court judges in the
I'm
Fifth
sorry,
Circuit.
what were the names again?
They were all circuit court judges in the Fifth Circuit of Appeals. It was a panel of three judges. The Fifth Circuit is usually pretty good, but in this case, it was not so good because luck of the draw, he got some liberal judges. This is after it was appealed by the United States to the Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit ruled that suppressors are not arms, that they are accessories, and they can be banned if they want to be ban them. What happened was originally Peterson asked for an en banc hearing where the full bench will hear the case, and that's good for him because the Fifth Circuit is pro-gun, so he should win when it goes en banc. The government originally stated that there's no need to go en banc because suppressors are not protected arms, blah, blah, blah. After 3 days, the Justice Department pulled that back. Apparently, it was a U.S. attorney who acted on his own without consulting main justice and said that suppressors are not armed. After 3 days, they pulled that back really, really quickly because that's not the Justice Department's stance. The Justice Department says that they are protected arms. Now they filed their new opposition to en banc, where they state that suppressors are protected arms and they cannot be banned. Banning suppressors would be unconstitutional because they are protected of arms that are in common use.
Whoa.
So that's the good part. There's always a bad part.
Please.
Always a bad part, guys. So now what they are saying is the bad part is that suppressors cannot be banned, but the NFA is A-OK. And the reason why
For how long?
the NFA, well, for a couple more weeks, apparently. But because and here's the reason, right? They're readily adaptable to criminal misuse.
So it's gasoline.
Correct.
But I'm hold on. Gasoline's not regulated and it's highly adaptable for criminal use. But how many crimes in the last 50 years were committed with a suppressor? I can think of one right off the bat.
There's been a couple.
But probably less than 10 in 50 years.
Yeah, definitely less than 10 and 50 years. Like one of the big ones that everyone thinks about is the Virginia Tech one. Not the Virginia truck, sorry, the
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach one, and then the assassination of the CEO of
Oh,
United Health.
right.
But that was a 3D printed suppressor, so don't understand how that would.
So who said they are readily convertible for criminal
No,
naughtiness?
not readily convertible. That basically that they are that they. Let me get the language right here. I don't want to say the language wrong. That let's see here. What did they say? That they're that criminals use them. Basically, is what they said.
How many criminals? Wait, Crump. Out of the people that you know that have and use suppressors, how many of them are criminals?
I don't know of any. They're readily adaptable for criminal misuse. So it's a good thing that they acknowledged that suppressors are protected arms, and it's a good thing that it's their official stance that they cannot be banned because banning suppressors would violate the United States Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment.
And so, is this U.S. attorney making this statement? Is that?
Yeah, but I'm sure that main DOJ signed off on it.
So,
They gotta
Maine
find out.
DOJ is signing off that suppressors are readily adaptable for criminal use.
Yeah, it looks like it. Doesn't matter in a couple weeks, but whatever. Have more suppressors been used for malign purposes more or less time than LEOs sidearms have been used in the hands of LEOs for malign purposes? I'm pretty sure the cops commit more crimes with their guns than.
I've heard a statistic, and I hope it's true, that a
And
CCW.
thank you for the $5 super chat, intellectual iconoclast.
That a CCW is 20 times less likely to commit a crime with a gun than a cop.
That is 100% true.
But I mean, you get suppressors from vending machines, and any criminal can get them, right?
Yeah. Actually, I was on the. It's funny that you say that because I said we were talking about suppressors on the T-Rex podcast, T-Rex Arms podcast. And I said, hey, it's my stance that you should be able to get a suppressor from a vending machine that's right next to the Coke machine.
Amen. Along with the machine dropping out green tip ammo. Oh, green is not good when you're chroma keying.
No. You got to remember that, Rich. So it's good that they said that suppressors cannot be banned and they are protected arms. It's bad that they said that the NFA is A-OK.
Which, by my watch, that might be okay. They said that.
I mean, hey man, it could lead to something big, right?
So, Crump, we actually barely talk today. Usually we have a couple of conversations. So, no new news on Congress critters doing Congress critter thing?
No, not right now. I mean, it's good. I mean,
So they're all partying on Martha's.
They're out of there, man.
They're Audi 5000.
Yeah, 3-day holiday weekend. We're not going to hear anything from them. With the HPA, you're probably going to hear, like I said, they want to have everything wrapped up by July 4th. I believe that they're going to have it wrapped up by the end of June.
Oh, wow. It's so funny. I'm like not realizing where July 4th is from now. Yes.
Right. What a lot of people don't realize, and this is interesting, is that it has to go through the finance committee before it heads to the floor
of the Senate.
Yeah, and the finance committee is ran by a guy named Senator Crapo, who I've been in his office many times. But he is the sponsor of the HPA on the Senate side, and it looks like they might be trying to put back in Section 3 as well.
What's Section 3?
Section 2 removes suppressors from the NFA. Section 3 says that States cannot ban them.
Ooh, fire! Because a couple of our viewers have reported to us that the state laws regarding suppressors in some communist states on the left coast required that you do all of the NFA transfer stuff to get a
I think
suppressor.
Florida does too.
What?
Well, I think they do it. I'm not sure about suppressor. I know they do it for SBRs and
In
SBSs.
Florida?
Yeah.
Did Walt tell you that?
100%. No, 100% I know.
Oh, okay. Because
100%.
I know Walter Keller would know.
If they remove SBRs and SBSs from the NFA in Florida, Florida state law would ban them.
Whoa.
There's 12 states like that.
Well, so we need the third section in also.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe let me see suppressors, Florida.
That's pretty cray-cray.
I do know it's about that.
Any breaking news on the new North Korean submarine?
The one, the boat that didn't go off, but we're not talking about North Korea. We're talking about guns here.
There's weapons on it. We're
not talking about guns here. All right. So, yeah, let's see here. Let's see. I'll look this up for you. I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, just text Luis Valdez.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see.
Is Winsome Sears running for governor now?
Yes, she is. But we're stay on topic, Rich.
I'm just reading the chat.
3 different topics. All right. So basically, government said one good thing good, one good thing bad. Basically, that's what it boils down to. The too long didn't read is that suppressors cannot be banned as they are arms protected under the Second Amendment, and banning them would violate the United States Constitution. But the NFA, which I believe is a illegal tax and also constitutionally dubious, is a-okay. Do you know why I say the NFA is constitutionally dubious?
Oh, well, it's a tax on a right.
The tax on a right. And if we know, Murdoch versus Pennsylvania was about a Jehovah Witness that was going door to door handing out pamphlets, and the state busted him because he said that they said he did not have a solicitor's license. He sued. The case went up to the Supreme Court, and they said requiring him to pay a tax on the right to religion violated his right to religion because you cannot put a direct tax on a right. Yet we have the NFA here, and the NFA is a direct tax on a right. Imagine that. Imagine that.
And we have Mr. Beam in the chat. I've never met him. He lives nearby also.
Yeah. So that is what we know right now. We'll see what actually happens, but this could be a good thing because if they go to the thank you, Karen. If this goes to the en banc, I think that they will probably rule against the government. And since the government is saying that you cannot ban them, but the NFA is constitutional, maybe they'll rule that the NFA is a violation of your rights. So this could change a bunch of stuff. So whatever. But we'll have to see. I'll look up the Florida statute. For you, Rich. Let's see here. Maybe I have it.
Ooh. So, all right. Wow. What Lake Missoula aquatics and plants? Is that aquaponics or
I just saw him,
hydroponics?
Ben Sharp. Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens here. But I mean, I don't like the stance that the government is taking, but it could backfire and it could actually take down the NFA. Wouldn't that be
So
awesome? Well,
here's
it wouldn't be. It's an as applied challenge, so it would be just for this one guy, but whatever.
I love this comment. So when we talk about products, meaning firearms and firearm devices or whatever, I mean, okay, a suppressor is a firearm. It says so legally, but show me that suppressors are dangerous. There's no proof. In fact, there's quite the opposite proof. The only way you could say suppressors are dangerous is if people are making them out of, aluminum soda cans and they're exploding.
Yeah. Well, you got
Suppressors
to
are.
remember this guy originally wrote. I don't know if you guys remember the original draft, but he wrote that a pillow or a empty plastic soda bottle could be used as a suppressor. So that is something that is.
Okay. So Eli, what's the word on Form 1 cans?
If the HPA goes through as listed, Form 1 cans would no longer be a Form 1 can. It would be just a homemade firearm. If Cuffstoff got his way, then Form 1 cans would still cost $200 to register. But, it is what it is. A belt loop bump stock, correct? Yeah. No, Florida actually bans destructive device category of NFA guns. Interesting.
Well, all right. So there was a guy over by Walter that was building 20 millimeter rifles.
So, really?
Yeah.
Those are considered destructive. Did he have an SOT?
I'm pretty sure he had an SOT, but the NFA, I mean, the ATF finally said, yeah, not so much. And he went out of business.
Yeah, I got a 40 mic in the other room, but it's a registered destructive device.
So the whole idea is a 20 millimeter rifle, they say, is not a man portable weapon.
Depends how
And that's
strong you
why it's a destructive device. But I don't want to burrow too deep into the can of worms on that one because I don't want to be visited by somebody because there's problems with a 20 millimeter, or there's things a 20 millimeter solves that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Johnny Threebar, 20 millimeter AOW, $5.
Yeah. I think 20 millimeters are considered destructive devices.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't agree with that. I'm just saying that's what they consider them. They consider them like anti-tank weapons, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yes, maybe ish, depending on the tank.
Yeah. So, I know, but I mean, I think that's what the ATF consider. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what they consider.
So, 20 millimeter, 50 millimeter is 50 cal is half an inch or 12.5 millimeters. So basically 20 millimeter is double which means it's not just twice as much powder and twice as much bullet. It's pi r squared as much.
Okay. Okay. So the range. Okay. So basically, this is what have changed. Originally, they argued that suppressors are not protected under the Second Amendment. Now they are saying that they are protected under the Second Amendment, but the NFA is A-okay. So basically, what they did is they moved more towards a freedom stance, but not enough for me to like it. Call me spoiled with all the victories we've been getting.
It's not a victory till we get a can with a 44.
No, yeah, what I'm saying, call me spoiled with everything going on, but whatever. I mean, it's just whatever. 20 millimeter signal device.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh, Florida. You can't get an FRT in Florida.
Well, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, whatever, Pansy law that says you can't have an enhanced trigger.
Yeah, but somebody just said it's because of the bump stock ban.
Oh yeah, there's a yeah, but I don't know how that goes together with that.
Polar Nights. I'm an American. I've been happy for a long time. So we'll see what we'll see. No, okay. The increased rate of fire thing. It's a little bit. According to Google, state bans destructive devices. Yeah. Yeah, I just looked it up. But you can't have a grenade launcher, Rich. Sorry.
Well, I mean, you're saying I legally can't have a grenade launcher.
You legally cannot have a grenade launcher. You can have a grenade launcher, you just might have to pay the ultimate price.
Just don't share with your friends and put it on YouTube.
People do that crap all the time. I was talking to one FBI agent, and I was like, "How do you catch all these people with Glocks?"
Social media.
ATF agent, yeah, and he's like, "Oh, Instagram."
I
was like, "What do you mean?"
So they get paid to
research. And seriously, he said he searches Instagram for Glock switch, and then they track down who the person on there, because usually they said they posted under their real names. I was like, that's insane. He's like, yeah, tell me about it. I just thought that was kind of funny.
That is
freaking
pretty hilarious.
That's how they're catching all these people with Glock switches, is Instagram. Freaking hilarious. Don't put your crimes on YouTube. I can talk about my grenade launcher because it's totally legal. Now, if it wasn't totally legal, I would not be talking about it.
In all of my FR2s are buried at the dog park.
Yes.
In the small dog section.
So is Illinois getting suppressors? Good question. There's a couple cases in Illinois that are going on. One is Steven Stambolia is fighting one, and ASA has a case. They've been combined in Illinois. We are waiting to get back a decision on that. The Hughes Amendment, named after Richard Hughes' father, who passed the Hughes Amendment, needs to be repealed, and 100% agree with that. By the way, in your case, there was a status conference update today.
And oh yeah, and
it means nothing. It's just that they were just seeing how like discovery was going. Just a status conference.
What is my case? What is my case?
Challenging Florida's open carry law. If the HBA happens and suppressors are only under the GCA, which part of the suppressor would be considered a firearm under the GCA if homemade one happens? Would it be the tube, baffles, and caps, all considered separate firearms? No, it would be the tube. We've already talked to people about that, and they're planning to regulate the tube.
So if the fluid trap I have that has a hole in it, which really makes it suck as a fluid trap, if I just get a piece of tube and thread it so it fits the end caps I have,
Well, it's going to be very simple to make suppressors at your house.
or I could just 3D print the tube and screw the end caps I have on.
Yes. It's going to be very, very simple to make. You can just go get you can order like titanium tubes that are used for other stuff, just empty tubes, and get it cut to whatever size you want.
I know somebody with a lathe.
Yeah. Solvent traps, there, from what I heard, 115 I was asking about solvent traps. From what I heard, if the HPA does go into full effect, they are still going to consider solvent traps as suppressors.
So, and what that means, and for all of you that aren't figuring it out and connecting the dots, so
ATF.
solvent traps, Wix filters, whatever that the ATF continues to put in my feeds on various different sites, all of those are suppressors considered by the ATF. So if you buy a off-the-shelf Wix filter and screw it on the end of some boomstick, you are going to be a guest at the Gray Bar for 10 years.
I never got a visit from the ATF for the solvent traps that I sent it. The screenshot.
Oh, I tagged the ATF today on. I tagged you also.
Oh, you did? No, but I tagged them on like a checkout page.
Is Johnny Three Bar saying aircraft spruce we can buy titanium tubes? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
So no, they're text bulletin. No 80% suppressors. That will not exist. Or will it?
You have my suppressor, a Coke bottle. Yes, I do, Polar Nice, my Norwegian friend.
Can you just buy end caps and make the tube? Is that what?
Yeah, well, there was a company that's been in the news lately that wanted ATF to regulate end caps.
There was a company
that's been in the news.
Hold on. I mean, like CNN news? Like what kind of news would they be on?
Silencer Central.
Oh, Silencer Central. And they don't want people to have end caps.
Yeah, that was said before. Okay, let's talk about the bird rule, though. What about the bird rule? Does the HPA clear it? All right, so the bird rule is not a law; it's a rule. So the body of the Senate gets to decide what the bird rule actually means. The bird rule says that that you can only add tax-related things to the reconciliation bill. And the NFA, according to the Supreme Court, and this is what the Senate is hinging on, and this is what I've been told by people in the Senate, because the Supreme Court said the NFA is primarily a tax law, that it does not run afoul of the bird rule. But just in case, they still have the $0 provision in there, just in case it does get knocked down. But I don't think it will. I think it's going to pass the bird rule, and I don't think that anyone wants to stop it. In fact, the person that would have to invoke it, well, one of the people that would have to invoke it would be the chairman of the Finance Committee, which is Crapo. And Crapo wants not only Section 2 of the HPA in there, but he also wants Section 3 of the HPA in there.
So when the Congress critters get back in office after their 3-day holiday, call this number.
I think they're going to come back probably Wednesday.
Yeah,
actually, I don't think Senate. I don't think Senate's in session next week at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because these critters, they love vacation more than Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think that the Senate is coming back until like first week in June.
so when the Senate's back in session, we're going to ask you
Oh
to make
no, I mean
three
they still
phone
have
calls.
staffers working.
Oh, okay. So if you call this number and tell them, "Hi, I'm from the zip code. Who is my senator? I have two. Please connect me to the senior senator," and then tell them you want the
Both,
HPA passed.
not just the
What?
thing. You call everyone. Call
Uh,
the finance committee too. Ask for the finance committee as well.
well, yeah, finance committee. I would say your two senators, finance committee, and the Mitch McConnell replacement. What's his name?
What's
Senate
that?
Majority Leader. Thune. Thune.
Yeah. So you want all of it. You want it all right now.
So if I posted a drawing like a survey drawing of the dog park where I buried my auto Sears
We're not
and put
talking
it on
about
a
auto series.
t-shirt.
We're talking about this thing, but we're gonna get ready and wrap up here anyway. Gonna get ready and wrap up here
Oh, okay,
anyway.
so Robert Jones mentioned the Short Act.
The
So
short
what?
act, that's very important for us to push. That's a good point. The short act is currently not in reconciliation. The Senate could pit the short act into reconciliation, but we're gonna have to push. I am confident of the HPA, but anything can happen, like I always say. But for the short act, I'm not as confident, although I do know there is an appetite for the short act in the Senate. I think if the Senate puts the short act in there, it's going to pass. Trump also wants the short act and he wants the HPA. So there's going to be no issues of getting that signed at the White House either.
Hmm.
No. Yeah. So
Well,
there you go.
okay then.
Anything else before we get out of here?
I'm good. And what are your plans for the weekend, Crump?
Me? I got another meeting with my financial advisor on Monday. I will be in the Red Oak area on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, coming back home Friday. Part of
Are you
my world.
flying?
Yeah, I'm flying. I'm not driving 4 hours.
It's gonna take you longer to fly.
I don't care. And then yeah, yep. So my US tour starts next week and it will run well only two places in Virginia and next week, one place in Virginia next week, one place in Virginia next month, and then I will Tennessee in August, and then starting in November, I'll be then October, November. I'm going to hit 4 different places around the country for that. I'm going to take December off. Then January, I'm going to hit two places around the country each month for a couple months. So I'm going to meet up with as many people as I can. So I'll let you guys know where I'm going when I'll be out there. All right, and with that, we make Alberta great again. Alberta, I like Alberta, Canada. Okay, guys, yeah, that is it. And with that, we're gonna get out of here. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Remember what Memorial Day is about. It's not about eating hot dogs and hamburgers. It's about people that sacrificed their all and gave their lives for your freedom.
And Chuck Schumer putting cheese on raw meat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Before we get out of here, how about wipes? All right. So Why, like, suppressor parts are regulated under the NFA. Under the GCA, only one part can be regulated in that unless you have a safety harbor, SH, but that's being worked on. But only one part can be regulated, and that is the receiver. Suppressors don't have a receiver, but they are considering the tube, the serialized part, so all other parts should be good to go.
Interesting.
And I just answered that, so thank you, Gus ATL from Atlanta, I guess. So there you go. So the tube will be the regulated part. Everything else will be non-regulated.
Interesting. Cool.
The life will be cool. The thing I have a question about is, and before we get out of here, I want to bring this up to see what you guys think. Oil filter would like attachments, would it be considered the suppressor, the thing that the serialized part would be the thing that attaches to the barrel? Because are
Well, if they're saying the tube and the oil filter, like
yeah,
a
but that
classic metal frame oil filter.
you're gonna have to do go get a 4473 every time we want to change your oil. Can't change your oil
Ooh.
if you're a convicted felon. I don't know. Hey, the ATF
Or
hanging
diesel
out
mechanic.
auto parts. Yeah. But the ATF gets to decide what part is considered the receiver, so maybe they will do the end caps, which would be I don't know. They do the end caps and let everything else ride, but maybe they'll make an exception just for that. It does not affect well, it could affect New York, because if you sue over New York's anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment law that bans suppressors, your attorneys can file what is called a notice of supplemental authority and state, "Hey, look, this is the look of the DOJ here," or is saying this, or the DOJ could weigh in on your case and say, "Hey, you don't believe that New York law is constitutional." So there you go.
Well, okay then.
Oh my goodness. Talk about suppressors, man. You should come on, Steven.
You want to send Steven the link?
Yeah, do you want to come on, Steven? If you want, because I bet you probably heard about what's going on in Peterson, Steven? You don't want to. All right, let me send the link.
Yeah. How quick are you to?
I gotta just text.
I bet I get to him before you. Click. Beat you to it. I sent
All
it
right,
to him.
well, yeah, we're gonna have Steven Stambolia on in a second. Steven Stambolia is the lawyer in the Raoul case up in Illinois. So if you have anything about suppressors, we will be able to get to that because Steven is suing Illinois over the banning of suppressors in Illinois. He is the lawyer of records. Will Baffles be regulated? I don't think that they will be regulated. So Steven is also known as the machine gun lawyer. He is a good friend. He has been my lawyer, and he is Rich's lawyers too. Thank you so much for the 199 super chat. Did this even pass the Senate yet? Are you talking about the HPA? It has not passed the Senate. It is expected to pass the Senate, though, which is exciting. The Senate is not in session until until like the first week in June. They want to have this all done and signed by 4th of July weekend. what states will have problems. I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't have the states offhand. But the first thing we need to do is to pass this, and Steven will come on in a second. You sent him the link, right?
Texted and emailed.
Awesome. Steven is fighting in Illinois to make suppressors legal. And when he does make suppressors legal in Illinois, everyone's going to celebrate, and everyone needs to buy Steven a beer if you live in Illinois. Steven
I
is
kind
a
of figured
little bit
Steven would be one of those guys that doesn't drink.
well, he only eats like carnivore stuff.
Well, all right, so then he can have vodka and tequila.
But the really cool thing is, do you know who's funding Steven's challenge to the suppressor law? Take a guess. Take a guess, Rich. Who's funding it?
GOA?
No. No. He's funding himself. Does it look like that it will pass the bird rule? I think it will. I wouldn't want to accidentally have an accident. Once Steven gets on here, we can ask him about this stuff too, because I'm sure he is aware of it. And thank you, Johnny 3 Bar. If you're not subscribed to Steven, you need
Man, look at this guy.
Steven. 2A Law on YouTube, the best lawyer on YouTube. He actually knows what he's talking about. Basically, most of the other lawyers, not all of them, most of the other lawyers talk about what is being done in the court system. And when they reference the cases that are being done in the court system, they're actually referencing a lot of Steven's cases. So instead of going to the other lawyers to find out what's going on, you might as well go to the source and contact Steven too. Steven, what's up, buddy?
What's happening? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. I was talking about how you are challenging the Illinois case, and you went in that, and you decided to do that on your own.
Yeah. So we're paying for that out of pocket, which is fun, especially after the Ninth Circuit stole $436,000 from me.
You're still bitter about that?
Dude, I'm so pissed off with that. I'm so pissed off.
Yeah. So Steven here, so you heard about the Peterson, right?
Oh yeah. I'm on the docket. Well, I mean, I'm not on the docket, but I get notifications from the court. So yes.
Yeah, it's interesting how they kind of like split the baby.
It's really stupid, and I'm going to tell you why it's really dumb. So number one, they listed 3 crimes that suppressors have, I guess, been introduced in or used in.
The only 3 crimes.
Exactly. And the Luigi one, I'm pretty sure his suppressor wasn't registered. It looked like he just printed it out.
It was a 3D printed suppressor, yeah.
Right. So probably not registered. Usually the people that go commit crimes with these things don't go through the process of registering them. But we have millions and millions of suppressors, and they listed 3 crimes. And then they said that they were susceptible to criminal misuse, which is just stupid. Okay. The thing that bothers me the most about this is they say that it's a non-essential firearm accessory, basically. And what we've seen these courts do is say, well, the Second Amendment protects things that are necessary to the function of a firearm, like ammunition. But if you get too far, like a laser sight, we've had at least one court, and I believe that court was in Michigan, saying that laser sights aren't protected because they're not necessary to the functioning of a firearm. So if we use this idiotic language saying that something is not essential, it doesn't have to be essential to be protected by the Constitution. So this platform that we're on right now is not essential to me being able to exercise my First Amendment right. I could just call Crump, or I could call Rich. I don't have to get online with this. Or X isn't essential to us exercising our First Amendment, but it's still protected by the First Amendment because it doesn't matter that it's not essential. Like all kinds of things are not essential to the exercise of a right. Like I use a pen and paper sometimes to take notes. but I don't always use a pen and paper to take notes. Sometimes I use a computer or an iPad. So we can start getting into this really idiotic thing of, well, this isn't essential and this isn't necessary, but it's still protected by the Second Amendment. And because the Second Amendment doesn't say, well, you can modestly burden this right, or you could slightly burden this, it's shall not be infringed. It sets the floor. It's shall not be infringed. And if you say that it modestly burdens it, you're just admitting that you're infringing it. So step away from that language.
Now, here's a couple of questions I have for you. One, could this, if they make a argument that the only reason Peterson can be convicted is because the burden and the annoyance of the NFA is not enough, and let's say the Fifth Circuit rules that it is, could this be a challenge to the NFA? I know it only applied to him.
The NFA is going to be upheld under the taxing power of Congress. So I don't think that we're going to win a challenge based on the NFA. Now, who wins in a challenge on the taxing power and the Second Amendment? I think the courts would say the taxing power wins. Now, that's just me kind of talking without having studied this exact issue. But remember in Hollis, my machine gun case, we attacked the NFA saying that it violated the Second Amendment, and then they brought up, oh, we have this taxing power, and it's as long as the tax, whatever the tax is, raises some amount of revenue, it's constitutional. We do have some permitting cases in First Amendment context that say that you can tax something or make like a permit fee. You know, a lot of these First Amendment gatherings or whatever you have to pay like a permit fee, right? So they say like if it raises some money or if it does something, let me see, I'm trying to kind of losing my train of thought here, but the courts have upheld some of those things. So, I mean, obviously if they put in a $500,000 tax on the Second Amendment, then it doesn't matter that it raises some amount of revenue. It would be struck down, but $200 isn't going to go anywhere. Like, it's just not enough money.
Yeah. How do they rectify that with Murdoch versus Pennsylvania?
Taxing a right. Is that the one? That's the case?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have. I don't know how they do it, but I know they have done it. They did it in Hollis. They did it in the Third Circuit machine gun case that I did. And I have not seen any court, when you talk about Second Amendment, looking at overturning any of the NFA on taxing the right. But they also say with all of the NFA stuff that none of the things that are NFA are within the Second Amendment, right? Because they're all dangerous and unusual. Number one, suppressors aren't firearms. They're not arms. Therefore, they can be banned. But machine guns can be banned because they're dangerous and unusual. And even Scalia said that in Heller, right? Mm-hmm. That it would be a startling reading of Miller if machine guns were protected by the Second Amendment. I mean, they are protected by the Second Amendment, you know, newsflash.
Also, they're in common use.
Well, they're in common use, but let's just go back to the Second Amendment. It applies prima facie to all items that constitute bearable arms, and that's a machine gun. I don't care if you don't like it. It's okay not to like it, but that's just what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to file this as a supplemental authority in the Illinois case.
All right. I mean, so I was right about that.
I must have missed what you said about it. What'd you say?
Somebody asked me how does this affect other cases challenging state suppressor laws, and I said the lawyers in those cases could file a motion of supplemental authority.
Yes, we will be doing that in the Illinois case. I know that there's another Ninth Circuit case, Sanchez v. Bonta, that they'll probably file this in as well. And those are the only two real suppressor cases that I know about. But we will be filing this in the Illinois case. I'll probably work on it a little bit tomorrow. You know, this is just a brief. It's the government's position. The DOJ is not in either of our cases. Either of the Ninth Circuit case or in my Illinois case. So
do they come in and file
I've asked, I've tweeted at Pam Bondi, at Harmeet.
I've asked for you, by the way.
I mean, I don't know what else to do. Like, I wish they would. I mean, I'm sure our judge would love to know that DOJ considers suppressors they didn't say arms, but protected by the Second Amendment. And so, yeah, I mean, they should. But I'll tell you what's going to be even more important than this DOJ brief is to see what the Fifth Circuit does with this. The Fifth Circuit could just vacate the panel opinion and remand back to the district court. That would be good for the defendant, not so great for us. Like, what I want the Fifth Circuit to do is say suppressors are arms and they facilitate armed self-defense, because that's what we need. Mm-hmm.
But you want them to grant like the en banc.
Yes, they need to grant en banc, or the panel needs it doesn't have to be en banc. The way that the Fifth Circuit does it is weird. If you seek en banc rehearing, there's two things that can happen. Well, I guess three things. They can deny it, and it usually takes about 2 weeks for them to deny it. Ask me how I know. Or they can grant en banc, or they can grant panel rehearing. So it would essentially go back to the first three judges, and then they would get another chance at it to say whether or not their first opinion was wrong or right, which we know what the panel would say. So they should go en banc because the en banc Fifth Circuit's a very strong Second Amendment court, and then issue an opinion that this guy, they can affirm it. They can affirm his conviction under the NFA and saying it wasn't registered. Therefore, this dude's effed. But they could also say, instead of saying there's not an arm, it's not protected by the Second Amendment, they could come out very strongly and say it's protected by the Second Amendment, although this guy's wasn't registered, so he can still be affirmed. His conviction could be affirmed.
Okay. So then by definition, Redneck Sniper, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Then by definition, that makes the 2A a second class right. A rural poll taxes was an unconstitutional, yet the NFA is okay.
Man, I got bad news for you, buddy. We can read and get excited all day long about Justice Thomas and Alito's dissents saying that the Second Amendment is not a second class right. And then we can also see the Supreme Court tripping over themselves to grant special relief to the Tren de Aragua members. So is the Second Amendment a second class? I would say it's like a seventh class or eighth class. I mean, I don't want to make any Rosa Parks jokes here, but they're way at the back of the bus. I mean, unfortunately, I wish that wasn't the case. I mean, Snope and Ocean State Tactical have been relisted, I think 15 times now, 14 or 15 times.
I got a theory on that, but we'll get to that in a second. But let's read the super chat. Yeah. Via says, when SBS's and NFA was challenged, SCOTUS said the Second Amendment only protects militia arms, and SBS's were not military use. Now, for SCOTUS to admit the machine guns are for military use, thus covered under the Second Amendment. There was a case that dealt with like sawed-off shotguns back in the day. That's what he's talking about.
Miller. It was the 1939 Miller case. And what Miller held was that court didn't have any evidence that short barrel shotguns were used in the militia and had any efficiency, or did not preserve the efficiency of the militia. That was the language that court used. But recalling Heller, where he did talk about M16s being primarily used in the military, and military-like firearms could be banned. And then they say they didn't overrule Miller, but they kind of did. If you read those sections together, if we have Miller saying that only military arms are protected, and then we have Heller saying only military arms can be banned.
Which one is it?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's the more recent one that would overrule the later one, but
yeah. Let me ask you. Let me run this theory by you. It's just a theory. It could be wrong, but they keep on relisting like Ocean State and Snope over and over again. Originally, I was like, oh, that's good. There's some interest in it. But now what I'm thinking is that it's just going to get denied cert and someone's writing a dissent.
Man, I hate reading judicial tea leaves,
Yeah, like
especially Supreme Court ones. But I think, this is just me guessing here, that we're going to get a per curiam opinion, because there's no reason to keep it 15 relists or 14 relists and then just come out with a dissent. Like, great, come out with another dissent, right? But remember Satano, the 2016 stun gun case?
yeah, that said 250,000 stun guns is
Yeah.
in common use.
Yeah, so that one, that was Justice Alito's dissent, or concurrence in Satano, that he said about 200,000 stun guns was enough for their common use analysis. That case, all it did was take the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts ruling, its opinion, saying that stun guns weren't invented in 1791, you idiots. And it said all of the three reasons that the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts gave, they're wrong. They violate Heller. Go back and try again. And then we had Justice Alito say, well, all of these other things too. You know, if you want to do a common use analysis, it's 200,000. They're lawful in 45 states. Right. So my point is, I think that Snope and Ocean Tactical could do the same thing, where the Supreme Court doesn't have to decide anything. They can come in and say, the reasons that you gave, that, let's pretend AR-15s aren't arms because they're used in the military, even though no military uses them, or large capacity magazines are not arms because you don't need them. They're not essential to the operation of a firearm. Kind of like what this garbage says, suppressors aren't essential. All they have to do is say, that's not the Heller analysis. That's not the Bruin analysis. Go back and try again. I think that's what they're going to do. And they could do it Monday. I'm sorry, Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday.
Yeah.
For normal
I just
people.
wish when they go to conference that they would let us know the day of the conference whether they actually went to conference or not.
I wish they were more transparent.
Instead of having to wait all the way through the weekend to find out if it went to conference or not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a
cameras.
Yeah, it's a tough job. Like with the Supreme Court, they're so freaking secret about everything, you know. But all I can tell you is, with that, what case was that? AARP or WMM? One of the Tren de Aragua cases against Trump. They said that the court hadn't ruled in 14 hours and 28 minutes, and the Fifth Circuit had jurisdiction over the appeal. Do you remember that? It was just last week.
Yeah,
14 hours and 28 minutes. The Supreme Court poo-pooed all over Judge Hendricks out of the Northern District of Texas because he didn't act fast enough. And his delay, 14 hours and 28 minutes. I would love to have a Second Amendment case take only 14 hours and 28 minutes for me to have a result in.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So we had questions earlier about suppressors, and if they get removed from the NFA, the GCA would regulate them. In what parts would be regulated by the GCA?
Well, like end caps or the tubes or what?
Or baffles or pipes or...
I was told that they're going to regulate the tubes as the ATF is going to say. This is what I was told by someone on the side. They've already been talking about it. They said we're gonna say that the tubes are basically the equivalent of a receiver.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had the framer receiver rule that started playing around with firearms. Let me take a look at something real quick.
Yeah, I think it actually says that in the frames and receiver rule too.
And then the corner case on this is, what about the adapter that lets you screw on a classic car oil filter?
Yeah, that's my question.
Well, man, I don't know. If it passes, though, I can make my own firearm, right? I don't have to go through all the nonsense of the GCA. So if I went and bought a fuel filter adapter and a oil filter, I'm not sure what they would do with that. Because it's not a suppressor until I make it into one.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Is like, do you have to? What are they going to do? Run 4473s on the oil filters? And if you have a criminal record, you can't change your oil.
Yeah. So
Can't drive a
this,
car.
I'm putting something in our chat. What 921-825, 18 USC 921-825, where it talks about the term firearm silencer means any device, including any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling. So we still have the GCA definition of a combination of parts. So could they say that baffles were also a suppressor and that you therefore needed to get a background check on a baffle? I mean, I think they could say that. I don't know that they would, but this combination of parts thing is stupid. So, but you wouldn't be charged with possessing a suppressor if you just happen to have a bunch of baffles. It would be like, well, how did you transfer those? I think that would be the problem.
Okay, well, okay. Somebody says, "Have I heard of the Bird Rule?" I do know the Bird Rule, but the NFA is a tax law, and the Supreme Court said that the NFA is primarily a tax law, and the Bird Rule allows for modification of tax laws.
It's a tax law. I mean, all of the cases say it's a tax law.
Yeah, so
So,
therefore,
but I'll tell you, let me ask you this. This is a dumb question. You know, I was watching I was doing a live on the big, beautiful bill signing. And like right after they voted, they're like, we're going to suspend the rules. And I'm thinking, what a bunch of assholes. If they can suspend the rules for that, just suspend the bird rule, right? You can suspend the rules that you made. I mean, the Senate made this rule. So certainly they can just suspend it and do whatever the hell they want because they're Congress and nothing applies to them, right?
right,
Okay, maybe.
right. It's a congressional rule, so like I said earlier, they can make it.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? They just make it, change it, whatever. It's not like they follow the law anyway.
Yeah, it's a congressional rule. So if they determine that it doesn't violate the Bird Rule, it doesn't violate the Bird Rule.
That's
and
right.
the Bird Rule. Here's the thing, right? The head of the Finance Committee, which has control over all that, is Crapo, right? Senator Crapo.
Yes. Yes.
Senator Crapo happens to be the sponsor of the HBA, and he happens to say he wants to see Section 3 of the HBA in there as well.
Yes, we have to have Section 3. We have to have Section 3 because of the issue with these other states that tie their registration to the to have them federally registered. So yes.
Yeah, so he wants to put Section 3 in there as well.
Yeah, well, he can do it. Do it. Suspend your rules and just do it. Like,
Well, he doesn't
I
have to
don't want any
suspend-
excuses from anyone. I'm tired of it.
I think it's within the rules, but Crapo, he is a huge proponent of suppressors.
Good. I like
he
suppressors.
knows- yeah.
I'll tell you what. When I break Illinois, we're gonna break the other states too.
Yeah. So, if somebody asking, it depends. I think you can. Like, I have a home in Delaware.
I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to have a suppressor in PA if you have a residence in both. You'd have to buy it in PA, just leave it in PA, and don't take it to New York.
Yeah.
Because they'd love you tenderly.
Redneck Sniper says Minneapolis Star versus Commissioner was the ink tax, and it was referring to the ink tax unconstitutional because it was integral to the right of freedom of press, and therefore so are gun parts to the 2A.
Look, I mean, no, I'm not gonna disagree with that.
He's not arguing for it. He's saying this is how the courts view it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Second Amendment is one of the most important rights. I mean, just telling you what I think the courts will do.
Yeah, which is sometimes when you say what the court's going to do, sometimes people get upset at you. Like they get upset at me. It's like, I think the court's going to do that. They're like, "Oh, why did you say that?" It's
You don't
like,
know.
I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm just saying this.
I've only been litigating for about 17 years now, but sure, I don't know anything.
No, it's just sometimes people get upset if you know.
Yeah,
I don't think what I want to say. I don't think Sniper is getting upset. Redneck Sniper is getting upset.
No. I mean,
I think he's just pointing out their contradictions.
Hey, look, as a fellow redneck, I also get angry with the courts where they take the First Amendment and then they say the Second Amendment is completely different, and the analysis we do is completely different, but it's not really.
$20 super chat. Thank you so much. Per ATF wipes, baffles, or NFA parts, oil filters can be constructed possession if with a threaded filter, and gun unless other legal uses, such as a car the filter will fit into. ATF rated a truck YouTuber. Yep, that's exactly right. And they did raid the truck YouTuber. We talked about that a lot in the podcast yesterday, didn't we, Rich?
Yeah.
They rated this like truck YouTuber who have all these diesel trucks.
Diesel mechanic guy.
Because he had diesel filters, and they're like, we know what you're doing with them. And he's like, I don't own a gun.
Yeah, he's a suppressor manufacturer.
It's amazing to me. Don't you think that the ATF would do like a correlation in the database? It's like, ooh, he bought these filters. Ooh, he bought these guns. Or
no, I don't think like that.
Yeah, this is Steven Stambulia, whatever you want to say his last name. I think he changes the way he says it on purpose.
I do.
But you can follow him at 2A Law on YouTube.
Yes, you should. I was actually doing a live just a little bit before I got on yours because my bedtime is about 8:30 every night because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to work. So,
there's Johnny 3 Bar. Johnny 3 Bar dropped your link. Thank you, Johnny 3 Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically what I was saying about Steven is the most other YouTube attorneys report on cases, and a lot of those cases are actually Steven's cases.
Yeah,
right. So he's the one changing the face of the Second Amendment forever.
That's me. Well, I'm part of them. I mean, there's a bunch of different attorneys that do this stuff. I don't know that there's any that do it for free though.
Is there at 2A Law merch? We could do a T-shirt that says "I changed the face of the Second Amendment forever."
I started my YouTube channel. I've got about 1,600 subscribers, and until I can, I'm fine with it. I just did it in February, but when I get more and I can start monetizing it and start putting my store up, I do have some T-shirts with my law firm name on it, and I have a really good. Actually, I need to send y'all some cups. Did I send you a cup, Crump?
I don't have a cup.
Man, what a jerk! I'm such a jerk.
Dude, you've been my lawyer, man.
Hold on. Wait, I showed one off. The last time, didn't I?
No, but I paid you all that money for defending me in court.
I know. How much was it?
0.
Hold on.
All right, Redneck Sniper. I was merely saying that.
Didn't we send Steven our addresses last time to get a cup from him?
No, I never did. I'm merely saying that contradicting existing case law is screwing over the 2A, i.e., the second class right. All gun laws are unconstitutional. 100%. Yeah, you got lawyers, and well, we weren't talking about you. We're talking about.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll send both of y'all one of these. I've got just like 6 left, but I had some coffee cups made, and I've got some shirts and stuff. And I mean, it's whatever. I'm not gonna retire on selling coffee cups, but it would be nice. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
Oh wait! I didn't realize we're talking laws and breaking news in the gun world. Let's see, which background is it?
Didn't the DOJ say suppressors were firearms?
Yes, they're firearms. I made that argument in Morse, and Illinois. It's like Congress can't change the definitions of the Constitution. Suppressors aren't arms, no matter what Congress says. That's how he talked.
Okay, John Crump, can you give a quick rundown on what Wickard is saying about interstate commerce?
Wickard v. Filburn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The chat's going by really fast.
Wickard was a case where they wanted to do something with wheat, and it's basically like the Raich case where they said, well, you're growing marijuana for your own personal use, but and just because it's not interstate commerce, it's intrastate, we can still control it, because by you growing your own, you're affecting interstate commerce by not buying it from someone else from a different state, marijuana. And so it's basically the same thing with the wheat. They could make all of these wheat regulations because it's interstate commerce, even though they weren't selling interstate.
So can Japan tax us if I buy a Cadillac versus a Lexus?
Well, Japan can do whatever they want on their tariffs or whatever, but we're talking just with Commerce Clause power. The Supreme Court has just blown Commerce Clause power out of the water, and so they can basically tax anything, stop you from growing something, like the raisin case. And I can't even think of what the raisin case name was called, but they said that you couldn't grow raisins, a certain number of raisins, and you had to keep some raisins for the federal government so you wouldn't sell them and drive the price down. Dude, it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. Like, our government's out of control.
Okay. Somebody's bringing up Barnes versus Felix. Do you know anything about that?
Never heard about it.
Apparently it is use of force against a citizen. I don't know. I gotta look into that. I'll look into that though.
Yeah, there's so many cases.
Somebody's talking to VSO, but I don't see him. Yeah, I missed it. All right. Okay, we got another by Ed Bender. Ed, I saw your email. I've just been so busy, I haven't had a chance to write you back. What's your thoughts on the government changing the definition of what a pistol is in the FRT case?
So they didn't change the definition of pistol. What they did is they defined it in the settlement agreement to make the FRTs that you could use them in an AR-15, but that rare breed trigger wouldn't make a pistol FRT like for a handgun, for like my Glock 17. So
but
it's
my
not that
BZ61 is okay.
Well, it's not that they're changing what the definition is. They're defining that term for the settlement agreement itself.
Yeah, so it's not changing the definition; it's just defining it. And they also demand that FRT vigorously enforce their patent.
Yeah, which they're doing.
So so they could make an FRT for VZ61, and that's okay because the magazine doesn't go in the hand grip.
Man, if that's not the way that they've defined pistol in the settlement agreement, then they're allowed to make it for that specific pistol.
Yeah, they did define it as a gun that the magazine is inserted into the grip.
Yeah. So there you go.
No. So AR pistol, no. You're still good with that because they defined it as a gun that a magazine goes into the grip.
Nice. That was a good demonstration, Rich.
Thank you.
Yeah. So therefore, so you can drop it into like an AR pistol. If rare breed, you can, but you don't want to. I mean,
you can't infringe their patent. You just can't infringe their patent, and that's the easiest thing. Like, I've had a couple of people call me. They're like, "I want to make this. I want to do that." I'm like, "Well, number one, I'm not a patent lawyer, but number two, as long as you don't infringe their patent, it's not the concept of some type of forced reset, whatever. It's their patent. So get a patent lawyer, go to town, have fun."
And they're very sue happy on patents or
everything. Rare breed was telling people that bought his FRT. This is what makes me mad about lawyers, is they're so super sue happy. He was telling people that he was going to sue them if they canceled their orders and issued a chargeback on their credit card, because he was not going to provide any refunds for the FRTs when the ATF said these are machine guns.
Well, so he was selling them after a C&D letter.
I know, not smart, right?
And so worse yet. So here's where, first off, I'm a Second Amendment absolutist, and I don't care what that other lawyer said. Not you, not some other guy.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should have an FRT. But when you get a C&D letter for FRTs and then tell your customers, no, it's okay, we're still selling them, you can buy them from us. After you got the C&D letter, that's putting your customer in a really bad situation.
Yeah, and yourself too. I mean, if Trump was not reelected, this would have come out a different way, 100%. I mean, even with the Fifth Circuit, I mean, I like the Fifth Circuit, but it's better to have settled it rather than let the Fifth Circuit do whatever they were going to do. And then if Bondi would have appealed it, then the Supreme Court would have taken it, just like they took Cargill. And I'll leave my comments to myself on that.
All right. Anything else you want to bring up before we go?
No, I think that's it, man. A lot of things happening today.
Yeah, and please subscribe to 2A Law on YouTube. Best damn lawyer on YouTube.
I don't know about that, but I'm decent.
Yeah. What do you think about Leiter stating that apparently the Washington Post had an inside source that said that Leiter wanted to still go after FRTs? He was convinced that they were machine guns. Did you see that?
I don't know if that's true. I saw it. I don't know if it's true. I
was
mean,
told that it's not, but
I don't trust the media anymore. Like they just lie. They just lie constantly.
Yeah.
About everything. Like Biden is the best ever, and he's the most cogent, whatever. I mean, all they do is lie. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I mean, we could go back forever and just say all they do is lie now. So they're going to say from some anonymous source that Leiter said this or Leiter said that. Let him come out and say if he said it or not. But until he says, I said this, I'm not going to believe anything the media says.
Yeah. I heard it wasn't true.
Yeah, I doubt it's true.
That's why I didn't really report on it.
Yeah, because they lie.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. We're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. And you want to, once again, 2A Law on YouTube. Let's get them at least 50 more subscribers.
I need 50.
There's 500 of you in the chat right now. So let's get 50 of you, 10%. That's it. 10% should be easy.
50.
And with that,
he should be let out of prison. Okay.
I just subbed to him. There you go.
Yeah.
You got at least one sub.
Nice. That counts. That counts. I appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone enjoy Memorial Day. Remember, like I said before, right before I was about to get off, before Steven decided to join, which I'm glad you did. Steven has represented everyone in this on this panel.
And still representing Rich.
Yeah, still representing Rich, but Steven is the guy that allegedly made a government attorney cry when they tried to gag me.
Well, I don't know about that. She had some problems.
She cried.
She's the worst.
A blowtorch to the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I think that was your quote.
Yeah, she's
a blowtorch to the First Amendment. I think it was. So I'll be forever grateful. And every once in a while, Steven or Rob, his friend, will call me up and be like, "Hey, you want to sue the government?" I'm like, yeah. Rob's like, "You want to know what it's about?" I'm like, "I don't care."
Yeah. I like to sue him. It's fun.
Yeah. I still remember when you found the gag order on me.
Yeah.
And you let me know, and you let Rob know. Then Rob called me up the next morning at 8 a.m. Exactly. He said, "You ready to go to war?"
Yep. That was fun.
Yeah, you guys were more pissed off than I was.
I'm still pissed off. I'm still pissed off about it. It's like, these people, who the hell do they think they are? It just irritates me.
Yeah. Even keep on fighting.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good one.
You have a good one too.